Anybody from Australia? No one on parole this week then? Okay. Anybody from America? What a surprise. Just think, if you lot could pay your taxes, all this history could have been yours. What European countries do we have? Anybody from Germany? No? Belgium? France? Anybody from England? Yay! Why not work? And anybody from my favourite country in the world? Anybody from Canada? Do you know why it's my favourite country in the world? Every big city you drive into in Canada has a sign outside, and it says, "Drink Canada Dry." I've tried on several occasions. Well, ladies, we're now studying the area known as the outer ward. That is to say, between the inner and outer ballium or defensive wall. The inner wall stands over 50 feet high. The outer wall stands over 28 feet thick. Now, the road that runs down to your left here is known as Mint Street, because up until the year 1810, all the coins of the realm, gold and silver, were designed and produced here. Now, in the year of 1810, the Royal Mint moved out to its new establishment. It did not take us, the Yeoman Wardens, very long to rush down here and claim some of this prime real estate. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is where many of my Yeoman Warden colleagues and their families live, including myself. Hands up if you knew that we lived inside the Tower of London. Hands up if you didn't know. Hands up if you don't care. That tall and narrow archway just behind you there is known as the Sally Port, or the Royal Entrance. Beyond that is a very small drawbridge, which leads directly down to the Queen's Stairs. Now, rather than travel the packed and narrow streets of London, royalty and nobility would travel up and down the River Thames in their impressive barges, tie alongside those stairs, and then gain access into the tower with very little difficulty. It was at that very archway just there, ladies and gentlemen, that King Henry VIII, the King of England, waited with great anticipation to meet a certain young lady who was soon to become his second wife, Queen Anne Boleyn. He ordered all his courtiers to stand in this area where you are now, in their finest regalia. As she approached through the archway, the sun beaming from behind, Henry VIII knelt down onto one knee, removed his Tudor bonnet. He then took her hand and kissed it. He looked into the eyes with love and passion, and then told her, "I will love you for the rest of your life." We never said he told lies. Poor Anne was fated to return to the tower 3 years later, for a very different reason, and through a very different gate. Now, to your front is the Bell Tower. It is the strongest of the 30. Your front's this way. It's a big hint. Look, it says Bell Tower on it. I know you're an Ollie, but come on. Look, to your front is the Bell Tower. It's the strongest of the 13 towers on the inner wall. It is called the Bell Tower because that small white box at the top contains a bell. It's not difficult, is it? It's the only surviving curfew bell in London. Now, when it was sounded as an alarm, it was a signal for the soldiers to close the gates, drop the portcullis, and man all the battlements in defence with archers. Now, with it being the strongest tower, obviously some very famous prisoners have been held inside. One of these was a man called James Scott, the Duke of Monmouth. He was the eldest of 13 children of King Charles II. One minor problem. King Charles had 13 children. His wife had none. Why do you think he's known as the Merry Monarch? Well, this handsome and very popular young man was persuaded to take his claim on the throne by the virtue of the death of his father and his uncle King James being a Roman Catholic. So, he landed on the west coast of England. He marched inland, gathering popular Protestant support. This was known as the Monmouth Rebellion. The rebellion was crushed at the Battle of Sedgemoor on the 6th of July, 1685. The leader escaped the battlefield and evaded capture for 1 whole week until he was found hiding in a ditch. But the problem was, in his absence, he was already condemned to death, so there was no need for a trial. 3 days after his capture, he was taken through the archways of the tower, up onto Tower Hill. And ladies and gentlemen, this was to be one of the most bloodiest executions in English history. Now, the executioner was a man called Jack Ketch. He was a giant of a man. He stood 6'4" in stocking feet. But the problem was, he was only a part-time part-time executioner, a part-time butcher, but he was a full-time drunk. And on this occasion, he used all three talents. As James Scott rolled back his collar, placed his head and neck on the large block of good English oak, Jack Keston would raise an axe. He picked up a flagon of strong ale, down in one, and then cast the flagon into the crowd. He then raised the axe above his head, staggered backward, staggered forward. He then proceeded to take 5 strokes of the axe. The first one came crashing down with the thunder and missed him completely. The second one caused a minor flesh wound on the neck. The third one hit him across the shoulder. The fourth one glanced off his skull. And the fifth one on the neck again. But then there was a large gasp from the crowd. No, I said large. It's called interaction, all right? We'll try again. There was a large gasp from the crowd. Slightly better. Someone really needs to see a doctor, by the way. Far too subtle, obviously. The body was still moving. The job was not complete. So Jack Ketch threw his axe upon the ground. He then knelt down very, very slowly. Beneath his jacket withdrew a large butcher's knife. He then proceeded to cut his way through the last pieces of sinew, flesh and bone. Now, ladies, lovely ladies, if you can afford it, you could have had a ringside seat. You could have felt that warm, frothy blood spurt out and land upon your face. But then, you'd take out your handkerchief, you'd dip it in a pool of blood and keep it as a souvenir. Aww. Gentlemen, I'm sorry to say, but we are the paupers. At the end of the proceedings, we gather up all the blood-soaked straw, dry it out in the midday sun, grind it down to a very fine powder, mix it with warm candle wax, and then sell it to the ladies as makeup. Where do you think Max Factor started, ladies? Yes. But the strangest thing of all about this execution, the head was taken to London Bridge, the body was returned to the Tower. 2 hours later, one of my predecessors, Young Warder, was tasked off the London Bridge to regain the head, which he did. He brought it back inside the walls of the Tower of London, handed it over to the royal surgeon, who then proceeded to stitch the head back on. I'll tell you why later on. Anyway, enough of all this blood and gore. Let's head off to... Head off? Oh, come on.